Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 49ers Golden Ticket. My name is Gabriel, and today we're going to talk backup quarterbacks of the San Francisco 49ers. We're also going to talk a little bit about the state of our division, some of the rumors surrounding it, and then if we have time, I'd love to dive into some of our own pending free agents and potential off-season moves that could set us up for success. Now, regarding our division and the state of it, let's head north to Seattle first, where we are going to talk a little bit about the Russell Wilson rumors and what that means for the Seahawks. Russell Wilson is reportedly unhappy with the performance of his offensive line, and he seemed, could be wrong, to blame the organization for it. Although, if I was the organization, wouldn't you argue back that, hey, dude, you're making 20% of our cap space? I mean, Russell Wilson is an expensive quarterback. And when you have a quarterback that expensive, it's difficult to build the pieces around him because these players want to get paid. They dream their whole lives. They put their bodies on the line. They're working out. They're sacrificing everything to get that big payday. And when Russell Wilson got his, the Seahawks have yet to make it back to a Super Bowl. They've made quite a few playoff runs, but nothing seriously deep and nothing threatening the Super Bowl. So Seattle might be looking to make a change. Russell Wilson seems to be looking for change. And the Chicago Bears are rumored to be calling. My goodness, what a blockbuster that could be. I would assume Russell Wilson is going to command a minimum of 2 first-round draft picks as well as potential third and maybe even a fifth to back that up. He is still a superstar quarterback, even at, I believe, 34 years old. That could be wrong. But as mentioned, he's aging. And with an aging quarterback like Russell Wilson, who isn't exactly a large quarterback, what happens when his mobility begins to slow down due to his age and he starts taking bigger hits? Will he be able to stand up to NFL defenses? Will he be able to complete full seasons? So far, the answer has been yes. But for me, I would not pay the price tag that Russell Wilson comes with, especially in a trade. So giving up all that draft capital for a quarterback that is ready to win now, but for how long? After Seattle, of course, it's going to be intriguing to see what happens with Russell Wilson. I think they have a backup quarterback in mind, somebody that I do want to talk about later in the backup quarterbacks for the San Francisco 49ers. But, of course, that'll come later, and I promise you won't be excited about the guy I'm talking about. Up next, we'll go to Arizona out in the desert, and let's see what J.J. Watt brings to the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals, the past 2 years, have made some really big win-now moves, and they might pay off big for them. As evident of last year's trade of getting rid of, basically, David Johnson's running back contract to the Houston Texans, as well as a second-round pick to the Houston Texans in exchange for superstar wide receiver Deandre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins instantly made his presence felt for the Arizona Cardinals in a Week 1 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. I think he has something like 16 catches. It was very clear to us that we could not cover Hopkins, and the Cardinals made a serious move for a serious player. Well, this offseason they went and they got J.J. Watt, two-time former NFL defensive MVP, and he's going to be lining up on the other side of Chandler Jones. And as 49er fans, if we don't re-sign Trent Williams, all we're going to have is Mike McGlinchey, and we saw him get beat a lot last year. I don't want to dive too much into that and get onto the hate train that seems to be accumulating for Mike McGlinchey, but I will say he did underwhelm last season, and so hopefully this year he puts back on some weight and really starts to shine, because there's not a whole lot of top 10 right tackles ever drafted, and well, McGlinchey's one of them, and Shanahan still stands by that. So that's what we have going on in Arizona. Now, moving on to the other California team who has made the most win-now moves, has been very aggressive the past few years in acquiring superstar players, trading away multiple first-round picks, but I'm talking about the Los Angeles Rams, who a couple of years ago acquired Jalen Ramsey, I believe, for 2 first-round picks. They already had superstar defensive tackle Aaron Darnold, who's arguably the best player in the NFL. And then now they go ahead and they get their quarterback. They made it to the playoffs. They made it to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, but they felt their quarterback was what was holding them back. So what they did was they traded away their quarterback, Jared Goff, who was a former #1 overall pick himself, as well as 2 first-round picks in exchange for Detroit Lions former #1 overall pick, Matthew Stafford. Now, is that a huge upgrade? I think yes. As 49er fans, we definitely thought Matthew Stafford was coming to us. The beginning rumors surrounding the offseason was that the Niners had the inside track. I believe it was Josina Anderson came out and she said that the Lions are waiting for a sucker. Now, thankfully that sucker was not the 49ers. Was it the Rams? I don't know. Very well could have been, though. 2 first-round picks and a former #1 overall quarterback in exchange for Matthew Stafford. It seems like a high price tag. However, Jared Goff's contract was massive, and it was maybe the only way that they could get rid of his contract, so it could be justified there. But the Rams are certainly loaded, and they're in a huge win right now window, and that leaves the 49ers, who have made basically no offseason moves, in a tough spot. You got potentially Russell Wilson, potentially Kyler Murray, well, definitely Kyler Murray, and then definitely Matthew Stafford. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he falls 4th in the division, which could be bad news for us. Although I will say Jimmy's clearly capable, he's taken us to a Super Bowl, but his injury history is definitely something to be concerned about. So let's just go over the offseason real quick. Let's talk about some of the things that's going on and discuss what the 49ers might be thinking now that you understand the state of the division a little bit. Early in the offseason, after or maybe even before, potentially around the same time as the Matthew Stafford rumors, Deshaun Watson had requested a trade. Shawn Watson is a 25-year-old quarterback for the Houston Texans, and he is absolutely a superstar, and he doesn't want to play for the organization. Now, I'm not going to get into the reasons why or speculate because I am not a part of the organization. I do not read or talk to people about the inner makings of that organization, but I will say from what I've gathered, there's a lot of philosophy issues surrounding the ownership. And he came out a couple of years ago with the comment regarding the Colin Kaepernick situation around the NFL. If I remember right, he said something along the lines of, do not let the inmates run the prison. And a lot of our colored athletes took that as a slight at them. But I cannot speculate on what he meant or any of that. As mentioned, I don't know him personally, but I just know what I read and what I saw, and for me, that was a red flag. And now they've got issues with Deshaun Watson. They promised him that they were going to give him opportunity to help choose the general manager, help choose the head coach, because they had just given him a massive contract. It's $39.5 million a year average. It made him the second highest paid quarterback behind only Patrick Mahomes, who you all know beat us in the Super Bowl last year. But that's the level of quarterback that Deshaun Watson is. And instead of giving Watson the courtesy that they said they would give him, they went ahead and hired a GM without consulting him. And the GM was a former, I believe, assistant for the New England Patriots, and Nick Caserio. He is well-liked and well-respected around the NFL, but it was not a liked decision by Deshaun Watson, as after that he reiterated his request for a trade, and then the Texans went ahead and hired a new head coach, again without the consultation of Deshaun Watson, and David Culley. And today, I must say, David Culley did an interview and he got asked a lot of questions, and he blew it. That's all I got to say. He blew it. He looked, I hate to use this word, but he looked like a buffoon. He was answering questions about Shawn Watson and kept stuttering and not confident and wasn't sure. He looked lost. They fed him to the wolves. The media is wolves, and he got fed to them, and basically all he could say was, we are committed to Deshaun Watson. He's a Houston Texan. And then they would try to change the question. But it'd be the same thing, and it would trip him up, and that's when he would stutter. But in the end, he would come out. He's a Houston Texan. We're committed to Deshaun. And then he went on to say something weirder, like, everybody who's here is committed to each other. So the people who show up, that's who we're committed to. So that got weird because you just said Deshaun Watson, but what if Deshaun doesn't show up because you already said he's not going to? So now you're not committed to him because he didn't show up. It's a very strange situation working out in Houston, and that has a lot of people thinking the Niners are just waiting to strike because Deshaun Watson clearly doesn't want to be there, and he listed the 49ers as one of the potential teams that he would be willing to play for. So that, of course, raised rumors, speculation. There's rumors of trading Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Fred Warner. I'm talking the superstars on our team, as well as multiple first-round draft picks for Deshaun Watson. Now it's up to you to decide if you think something like that is worth it. And to be honest, does our front office have the brass to make a decision like that, go get the quarterback, but also potentially hurt your roster in the process, and Deshaun doesn't come cheap? So you have to take all those things into account. Anyways, after the Deshaun Watson rumors and then the Matthew Stafford trade where we thought we had the inside track, the 49ers then heard that Carson Wentz is available for trade, and here we go again, right? The Niners, we got to be in the market for a quarterback. At least that's what we're hearing, right? But then again, our front office is saying that Jimmy G is our quarterback come week 1, that Jimmy Garoppolo is our guy. We're willing to build behind Jimmy Garoppolo because they recognize that his injuries are a concern. And if that persists, then obviously we're going to need a new option in the future. But I believe that the Niners want to try to ride this out for one more season and see if Jimmy G can stay healthy and return us to the playoffs and or Super Bowl. And let's win it this time. But Carson Wentz becomes available. Niners fans get excited. We watched what he did to us last year. And then he goes to the Indianapolis Colts. So then, boom, just like that, we're out of the Carson Wentz sweepstakes, and the rumors didn't last long. But we could still dream, right? Carson Wentz, boy, what an ad for the Indianapolis Colts, who just lost future Hall of Fame quarterback Phillip Rivers to retirement. After, actually, it was a good price too. The Carson Wentz deal netted the Philadelphia Eagles a first-round pick and then a conditional second that can become a first round. So, I'm sorry, I mixed that up. It is a second-round pick and then another second round that could potentially become a first round depending on how Carson Wentz performs. That is a great deal of trade value for a quarterback who looked like he might get cut this offseason. So, the Colts definitely identified their guy, and they went and got him. After that, the 49ers then promoted Adam Peters to assistant GM. Now, what does that mean for John Lynch? I don't know. John Lynch is our general manager, but they created a new position for Adam Peters as assistant general manager, and I'm just not sure the direction that we're trying to head with that, but I'm sure we'll find out here in the next couple of years. Hopefully John Lynch doesn't become a scapegoat for the 49ers because I do enjoy having him as our GM. I like the dynamic between him and Kyle Shanahan, although there are rumors that they don't actually get along as well as I would like to think. But who knows? We're not in the building. We're not talking to him every day. I just know what I see, and I do see a good working relationship. Two very strong-minded individuals working towards a common goal, and that is a Super Bowl championship trophy. Now, after the Adam Peters announcement becoming assistant GM, John Lynch went on a podcast and he once again came out and said that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be our quarterback, and he backed up Jimmy, but that's where he did say that we needed to insulate behind him, meaning we got to find a backup quarterback who's capable to step in at any moment and win games for us, and we also still have to build the team around. So that was, I believe, February 24th that John Lynch went on the podcast, did that. February 25th, March 1st, the 49ers were reported to inquire about Teddy Bridgewater, and that is another domino potentially in the quarterback carousel surrounding the San Francisco 49ers. Personally, I don't feel Teddy Bridgewater is the upgrade needed for us because he's not an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is just as good, if not even a little better, than Teddy Bridgewater. But Teddy Bridgewater does come with a lighter price tag. And I guess that could be the intrigue, but I just don't see a reason to step down in quarterback play for another previously injury-prone quarterback who isn't as good and is still making a hefty price, just not as much as the one that you already have. So is it worth giving up a couple of draft picks to trade for that guy? I wouldn't think so. Not at all. That is not the direction that I would like to see the 49ers head. In fact, since we are talking the direction, let's dive into those backup quarterbacks. Now, the first guy I do want to talk about, the one that you probably won't be too happy with, is Geno Smith. Yes, he's a former first-round pick of the New York Jets back in 2013, I want to say. He was a very, very good prospect coming out of West Virginia. He has a strong arm. He is very mobile. I believe he ran a 4.57 at his pro day. His mechanics are excellent. You know, he keeps his eyes and head downfield. He doesn't look to run first, but definitely had some growing pains early on. There's questions about his leadership. I don't know if you guys remember the fact that he got punched out in the locker room, knocked out by one of his teammates. That's got to be concerning, right? That is definitely a leadership issue. But that's not to say that Geno Smith hasn't since grown from that. It's just, have we had the opportunity to see it? So during his 4 years with the Jets, he did get the chance to play in front of and then learn from Michael Vick for a season, and the same with Ryan Fitzpatrick for a season. So those are already two great quarterbacks. Michael Vick, potential future Hall of Famer. The dogfighting issues from his past might keep him out of the Hall, but he is a player that is talented enough, and he actually changed the quarterback position during his time into, I believe, kind of what it started to evolve in today. Michael Vick was the first great mobile quarterback of the current generation, I believe. And so that gives him Hall of Fame status, but the disgusting dogfighting past is definitely gonna hurt him, and I don't think they'll allow him in. But who knows? He's still a caliber player of Hall of Fame. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Harvard grad, one of the smartest guys in the NFL. He's always going to be a Hall of Fame in my book. That beard is too legendary. Those shorts in the practice field in Miami were too freaking great. Ryan Fitzpatrick, baby. After that, he went on to, I want to say it was the San Diego Chargers, where he got to play behind Phillip Rivers. And then after that, he went to the New York Giants, where he got to play behind Eli Manning. And now he's in Seattle playing behind Russell Wilson. So what I mean by this is throughout his career, he's had the opportunity to have some elite brain picking, okay? He is a former top pick. I thought he was a first round. He ended up being a second round pick, but still a very high draft choice with all the tools you look for to be successful. Strong arm, good mechanics, keeps his eyes downfield, very mobile, but doesn't look to run first, can still make a lot of people miss and make a lot of plays with his legs. And hopefully he's matured into a leader and how to diagnose a defense properly over the past 6 years, I want to say. I could be wrong, but it's definitely been a while. Geno Smith is a name that the 49ers should consider. And that's the name that I think the Seattle Seahawks are considering if they decide to get rid of Russell Wilson. Geno Smith would come at a pretty cheap price tag of about $1.2 million per season, and that's a huge discount from Jimmy Garoppolo's 26 or 28 million this year. So Geno Smith, definitely somebody I like as a backup quarterback and somebody that the Niners should be looking into. Another uninspiring name that the Niners could look into to back up Jimmy Garoppolo. Remember, we're talking backups first because the Niners still seem to be set on keeping Jimmy, which I'm not opposed to. But like I said, they seem set on keeping him as their starting quarterback, and he just comes with a high price tag and a lot of injuries. So to build behind him does get a little bit more difficult, and you can't go get fancy names and high price tag free agent quarterbacks because those guys don't want to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo. They want to start somewhere. So we're looking for guys who want to prove it, who, if they get an opportunity, want to come in and shine. And what better offense to do that than a Kyle Shanahan offense, for one, and then for two, what better quarterback to do that behind than an injury-prone one like Jimmy Garoppolo? So the second name I'm looking at is going to be Tyrod Taylor, or Tyrod, however you want to say it. On Hard Knocks, it was Tyrod, but ever since I've still always heard it pronounced Tyrod. So anyways, Tyrod Taylor, he's 6'1". He also ran in the 4.5s at his combine. He wasn't drafted as a top quarterback, but he was drafted as a top athlete. And throughout his career, he's just been a proven game manager, I guess is a good way to put it. Something that they labeled Alex Smith, who is also rumored, or not rumored, but is just getting a lot of hype from fans in San Francisco about potentially coming back because the Washington Redskins did release him. However, Tyrod Taylor is a strong-arm quarterback. He can throw the ball downfield. He's very mobile, but he doesn't turn the ball over. And I think that is the best thing that he can do for a franchise, especially as a backup quarterback, is to just go in and not lose it for us. I anticipate the 49ers to continue to have a really strong rushing attack. Raheem Mostert is off the charts fast, and Jeff Wilson Jr., boy, if you watched him run last year, who ran harder? Darrell Henderson of the Rams ran pretty hard too. When they make contact with people, man, it's nasty. But Jeff Wilson Jr. is a total stud. Raheem Mostert's a game breaker. I expect our ground game to be just as potent next year, especially if we either A, add somebody in the draft, or maybe even bring back Matt Breida, who's a free agent. Something to talk about, of course, probably on another episode. Anyways, the second quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, somebody I am thoroughly interested in, and I think could be perfect in a Kyle Shanahan offense. He's very much a yes man. He is a leader, and he will execute the offense that Kyle Shanahan puts in front of him. I have faith that Tyrod Taylor can come to San Francisco and do some pretty good things. I don't know if he's a Super Bowl caliber winning quarterback, but boy, would I be interested to see what he can do for us as a backup. Now, moving on from that, there's a ton of rumors surrounding the 49ers being also interested in Sam Darnold, and I am just not that sold on Sam Darnold. I understand that he is young, but we already have the backup quarterback on our roster that we should develop, and that is Josh Rosen, not Sam Darnold, okay? Josh Rosen is a former first-round pick himself. He went number 10 in the same draft that Sam Darnold went number 3 in. He was drafted to the Arizona Cardinals the year before the Cardinals fired the head coach and drafted Kyler Murray. And when they drafted Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury moved on from Josh Rosen, trading him to the Miami Dolphins for the number 2 overall pick. For a second-round pick. And the Dolphins then, that next year, drafted Tua Tagovailoa with the number 5 overall pick, leaving Josh Rosen the odd man out again. So Josh Rosen gets cut in Miami, and he joins the practice squad in Tampa Bay, where he gets to learn a little bit from Tom Brady. Hopefully it humbled him too. I'm sure this is quite an experience for a first-round draft pick that within 2 years, he's playing for 3 different teams, and now he's on the San Francisco 49ers because we signed him once Nick Mullins got injured off of the practice squad in Tampa, and then in the offseason, we did sign him to a future contract, which leaves me very excited. The kid brings so much talent, strong arm, very accurate, quick decision, quick arm, quick release, all the things that you want in a quarterback. He is the prototype. Great feet in the pocket. He isn't as mobile as you would like, so maybe not the prototype. So I shouldn't have used that word, but still, I am a Josh Rosen fan, and I'm so thankful he's on our roster. I'm really excited to see what he can learn from Kyle Shanahan. I did watch an interview earlier today with Grant Cohn, interviewing Jim Mora, who was Josh Rosen's college coach. And Jim Mora had tons of great things to say about the ability of Josh Rosen, but did acknowledge that the reason he has been unsuccessful in the NFL could be related to his attitude. Some people feel that potentially he isn't maybe genuine, or he just rubs people the wrong way. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out Grant Cohn's channel and check out the interview with Jim Mora. A lot of great information there on Josh Rosen, somebody who's already on our roster and somebody to get excited about. Now, if we're looking to replace Jimmy Garoppolo, let's say, because New England is reported to be interested in trading for him, let's say we do decide to move Jimmy Garoppolo to New England for second-round pick maybe. Now we're looking for a starting quarterback. Does it come in the draft? Maybe. There's quite a few names to keep an eye on. Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1 overall. Zach Wilson likely to go number 2 overall. Where does Justin Fields go? Where does Trey Lance go? Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond. All very popular names surrounding the draft right now. But none of them, well, that's not true. None of the ones that are going to fall to the Niners at 12 are players that I would want over this guy to be my starter. And I'm talking Mitchell Trubisky. I know. It's okay. Laugh it up. I hear it. Not a lot of people are excited. But Mitchell Trubisky, to me, I think just got a raw deal in Chicago. Matt Nagy was just a terrible coach. He's on the same playing field as Adam Gase, who was a terrible coach for the Jets. And that's why everybody's making the argument for Sam Darnold, saying, hey, terrible coaching, terrible players, never had a chance. Well, Mitchell Trubisky is a much more talented quarterback than Sam Darnold, in my opinion. He brings a lot of the same traits. He's very mobile, very athletic, strong arm, quick release, tough kid, ready to go out there and put it on the field and win games. In my opinion, what happened to Mitchell Trubisky is I think he lost confidence. He began reading the field poorly and got afraid to turn the ball over. That's what I think happened to him. I think that if we bring him to the San Francisco 49er organization, not only does it give us a chance to rewrite that draft, the one where we picked Solomon Thomas over Mitchell Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes. Okay, this gives us a chance to get one of those 3 quarterbacks. By the way, Mitchell Trubisky was drafted ahead of both. The NFL seemed to have a consensus that Trubisky was the number 1 quarterback in that draft, needed time to develop, but there's still time. He's still 26 years old. Why wouldn't we want to take him and see what Kyle Shanahan can do with that? He was drafted above Deshaun Watson, who's going to command 6 first-round picks in a trade. This guy is potentially free, other than cap space. Why not take a look? That's who I think should be the 49ers' number 1 option as the starting quarterback outside of Jimmy Garoppolo for the upcoming season. Hey guys, thank you all for tuning in. I had a great time today. I hope to see you next week, and please mail in your questions. I look forward to answering them. Thank you.